instability. And in fact, terrorism and anarchy are always there in their territories. The income distribution balance is distorted. Political, social, and economic instability is predominant. And in order to sort out their internal matters, they require external help and assistance. We believe that so much persecution, in fact, will take the Islamic states to an Islamic Union level. In order to establish justice, the states have to operate in 5 fields. A state is originally founded for justice, and for justice you need power, and defense, internal and externally, must be handled centrally. So you need justice, defense, home affairs, and foreign affairs, and all these must be administered jointly. In that territory, in such a territory, it means that the justice is established. ASSAM congresses have the purpose of creating a model about the necessary institutions to be established and the necessary legislation to be created in order for the Islamic countries to bring under one will. That's a series of congresses, and 57 Islamic countries will be taken away of the conflict environment that they are in. They will be helped in living in peace, and all this can happen if they live under one will. Taking into consideration the main fields of operations for the states, in fact, we started organizing our congresses in 2017, and the main themes were as follows. Since 2017, first we discussed the administrative formats and the bodies, then economic cooperation. In 2019, we look at the defense industry cooperation, then joint defense system. Last year, we discussed joint foreign policy, principles and procedures, and this year we are convening in order to discuss the joint public order and security procedures and principles, and next year, hopefully, we will be discussing the joint justice system. So we have been discussing the necessary institutions and the legislations to be ensured by the Islamic states. The first Congress took place in 2007 during 23rd and 24th of November, and the theme was different administrative formats from past to present. 31 proceedings were delivered during that Congress. At the end of the Congress, in fact, we published the Brig of proceedings that mostly covered the welfare of the Muslim states, the security and survivability of the states that they founded.
Dünyada barışın tesisi ve idamesi, adaletin hakimiyeti ve İslam dünyasının
peace and justice in the world, and Islamic world becoming a superpower in the world again. And the need for the Islamic countries to come under one will in Asia and Africa. That is why in the cabinets of Islamic countries, Islamic Union Minister's Office to be established, and an Islamic countries House of Representatives to be established. The internal conflicts to be solved, and Islamic countries to function as a crisis management body. All these needs were covered in the Book of Proceedings of the first Congress. At the end of the first Congress, a comprehensive model constitution was drafted. 181 articles were there. Turkish, Arabic, and English language versions were also published in the website of ASSAM. The model prepared and drafted was called Model ASRICA, Islamic Countries Union Confederal Republic Constitution. And there have been different roles and responsibilities assigned to different bodies as well as the national states. Now, I'd like to talk about the Islamic Union concept of ASSAM. As ASSAM, in fact, we believe that the creation of Islamic Union is a need in this era, and recognition of this need is the first requirement and prerequisite in order to establish this union. With the model constitution ASSAM prepared, ASSAM drew this roadmap in order to complete this union. And in fact, it created or thought about five stages only through which the union can be established. The joint will of 57 Islamic countries will be represented in the House of Representatives, and then the Islamic countries should reach this confederal structure. That was the first stage, and the second stage would be working on justice, internal and external security, and joint foreign policy. The necessary principles and procedures will be drafted for the Islamic Confederation. And then the regional Islamic countries assemblies would be created, and the regional confederal structures would be created. That would be the second stage. In fact, the regional Islamic States confederations would bring together countries in 9 different geographical regions based on geographical proximity. As you can see on this map, the regions are the Middle East, covering 12 states.
8 devletler oluşan Orta Asya.
Central Asia, covering 8 states. Near East with 4 states. Southeast Asia with 4 states. North Africa with 6 states. East Africa with 6 states. Northwest Africa with 9 states. Southwest Africa with 8 states. And Europe with 4 states. These will be the regions to be established in the second phase. So the 1 confederation and 9 regional confederations that would be affiliated to the main confederations should be established in this stage. After this phase is over, the central administrations for the regional confederations should be enhanced so that they can turn into federations, and then these federations should get attached to the main confederations as confederated units. That will complete the hierarchical attachments. And here on this organogram, you see the 57 countries. The national borders and structures will not change, and based on ethnic and geographical affinities, there should be 9 regional confederations, and there will be 1 main confederation, and that is going to create the 1 union of Islamic states. Once the hierarchical structure has been completed, the central joint will be represented in the assembly of the union, and the regional wills will be represented in the regional assemblies. There should be executive bodies affiliated to the representative houses. There should be courts of justices, and also the emergency action forces. After that, in fact, public order and internal security must be organized, foreign security must be provided with the necessary defense alliance, and joint foreign policies should be identified. An economic cooperation should be created. Independent justice system must be established, including the human rights and the penal codes. At the end of the first International Congress, it was possible to create this whole model, including the items that I have already listed. On the 1st and 2nd of November 2018, we organized the second Congress with the main theme of Islam economy, and 57 proceedings were delivered by 60 scholars from the region. At the end of the Congress, a declaration was published. In order for the Islamic countries to attain the global welfare level and to gain economic independence, an Islamic economic system was deemed necessary. And that system would use the state-of-the-art technology, would encourage production, would be based on the exchange of goods and services, would be free of interest, and in fact, it would have an autonomous money circulation system, and it would not be affected by the fraudulent interventions in the world. And that is why we thought that customs union would be necessary, as well as a joint market, unity in currency, commerce regions, commerce codes, foundations, participatory banking system, and chambers of commerce would be needed. An ASRICA dinar currency would be created. An R&D promotion fund should be created for this purpose. Joint investment fund and resource planning should be made. A joint center should be there for R&D and innovation. Islamic finance systems and joint cooperatives should be created for this. And in interbanks, financial systems should be created.
ASRICA BAFOM'un kurulması. Üye ülkeler arasında dış ticaret.
Among member states, the foreign trade volume
dış ticaret hacmini arttırmaya yönelik tedbirlerin alınması
should be increased via certain measures. And for this, it is necessary to establish some trade centers. Preferential trade agreements must be made among Islamic countries. The already existing cultural affinity should be further enhanced. A strong political will should be created. And all these items were included in that declaration, and that declaration was published on ASSAM's website to the attention of the global public opinion. The Third International Islamic Union Congress also ended up with very important conclusions. That Congress was held during 19th and 20th of December 2019. And the theme was a joint defense industry for the Islamic Union, and a main title of the Congress was ASRICA Joint Defense Industry Production. And from 10 countries, 45 scholars delivered 44 proceedings. In that Congress, in fact, independence and their requirements were discussed, and one requirement was found to be production of arms and weapons with internal means. That is why one of the 5 ministries in the Union would be the Defense Industry Ministry, as our speculations, and it would have 9 sub-units, as you can see in the screen. The products and inventories, the needs, the storing, distribution, renovation, modernization, scrapping, recovery, reclamation activities would take place under the Ministry of Defense Industry. And in all 9 regional federations, there would be the presidential offices for defense industry, and they would be affiliated to the main ministry. And for land, marine, air defense, space, cyber, and electronic defense, the necessary production would take place. And in fact, for the defense industry, production, principal, and subcontractors, when they would be making production in their own regions, they would need certain centers for R&D, standardization, certification, accreditation, codification, maintenance, and repair, and these centers will need to be established.
Ve milli devletlere tahsis edilen savunma sanayi ürünleriyle ilgili
related to the defense industry products that are allocated to the regional federations and the national states, as necessary education institutions should be established. All these items were also included in the declaration of the Third Congress.
Önemli sonuçlara vesile olan 4. kongremizden de
the Fourth Congress also brought about very significant results. It was held on the 12th of December 2020, and in order to identify the principles and procedures for a joint defense system, we had this Congress in teleconference method, and from 15 countries, 31 academicians delivered 21 proceedings. And it was decided that one main requirement of independence would be central administration of defense for the countries. And in fact, it was reiterated that the defense ministry would be one of the 5 at the central level. And that would be the defense organization of the Confederation. So in the center of the Confederation, there would be the General Staff Command. And there would also be the land forces, Navy, the Air Forces, the Air Defense and Missile Command, and the Cyber and Electronic Security Command. And in fact, according to the Article 117 of the draft Constitution, under the Confederal Presidency, there should be vice presidents at the Confederal Republic level, and also different ministers for justice, national defense, home affairs, and foreign affairs, as well as the General Staff Commander in the Security Council at the Confederal Republic level. And also joint operation commanders should be included in the Security Council. 33 units from the land, 3 units from the Navy, and 9 strategic and 9 tactical units from the air commands, 9 units from the air defense, and 9 units from the radar command, and 9 units from cybersecurity units would be established according to our conceptualization. For all these commandments, 9 each logistics support command units should be established. There should also be training commands for all of them in different numbers.
Hava Kuvvetleri Komutanlığı'nda 9 adet üs ve meydan komutanlığı,
the base commands and also logistic commands should be established for the Navy and for the Air Forces as well. Of course, there will be some more forces and units.
Her bölgesel federasyon coğrafyasındaki muharip,
In each regional confederation,
bölgesel İslam federasyonları müşterek harekat komutanlıklarının harekat
there will
kodlarına
be some supporting units as well.
Yine geçtiğimiz yıl icra ettiğimiz 5.
Last
kongremiz
year, we had the 5th Congress, and I would like to provide some summary information about that Congress as well.
konfederasyonun komşuları ve küresel güçlerle
And it was mostly about the neighbors of the Model Confederation and its relations to the global powers. In seas and oceans, the interests that the Confederation would have were discussed, as well as the diplomatic network and the foreign representative system. And a
ASRICA Confederasyonu
Congress was organized in teleconferencing method, in online method, with 16 countries and 34 scholars. And in fact, they delivered 34 proceedings. At the end of the Congress, again, a declaration was published. In fact, it had 2 chapters. In the first chapter, until the establishment of the Model Africa Confederation, the Islamic countries, the national states, foreign policy principles were covered. In the second chapter, the foreign policy principles to be adopted after the establishment of the Confederation were covered.
ASRICA Konfederasyonu'nun kuruluşuna kadar
Until the
geçecek
establishment of Model Africa Confederation, there would be certain stages, and the Islamic world
unsurların birbirleriyle
would look at its
savaştırıldığı,
own geographical area. And in fact, would look at the ethnic and religious differences, and they would be aware of these differences. In fact, in order to come under one union, the Islamic states must take the necessary steps as soon as possible. Internal security, external security, economic, social, and political crises are ongoing in Islamic states, but stability has to be restored. In order to ensure this, independent of UN and other powers, a new organization should be established. And in fact,
devletlerin oluşturduğu
the Islamic states
farklı bir güce ihtiyaç bulmaktadır.
need another operational power that is different than the Organization of Islamic Cooperation in Yemen, Palestine, and many other territories of the world. The conflicts are ongoing, and there should be no others intervening. But an Islamic organization can sort out these matters only, and that can be a core for the Islamic Union, and it can be called the Islamic States Crisis Management Confederation.
İslam Ülkeleri Kriz Yönetim Konfederasyonu aranan
Islamic
kıstas
States Crisis Management Confederation, in fact, should consist of certain states that fulfill the necessary criteria. And these states should be able to join this organization through certain agreements. And there should be some permanent bodies for decision-making and implementation of the decisions. And again, there should be a House of Representatives for this purpose. The House of Representatives should be established with the willingness of the states, and it should act according to an organic legislation that is going to have. And the representation should be on proportional basis. In the House of Representatives or in affiliation to that center, there should be a crisis center, and in the crisis
sosyal operasyonları yönetebilecek hareket merkezleri bulunmalıdır. Üye ülkeler gerekli mali desteği sağlamalıdır. Kriz merkezlerinin kontrolünde hareket eden üye devletlerin katkılarıyla teşekkür edecek bir askeri güce de sahip bulunmalıdır. Faaliyet merkezi, kriz bölgeleri ve üye devletlerin
operational center
tarafından belirlenmeli ve
take into consideration the proposals of the states, and it should be decided by the House of Representatives. It may be changed, and the approach should be constructive, peaceful, fair. There should be full respect to fundamental human rights. It should be converging. It should protect the social texture. It should be assisting and coercive if necessary. The modern ASRICA Confederation, once it is established, there will be some other foreign policy principles and procedures to be implemented, and let me talk about them as well. The establishment of the Foreign Affairs Minister's Office, there will be some central units, and also there will be a presidency for representative offices domestically and internationally. There will be a presidency office for the administrative affairs, strategy, and some other units.
Model Konfederasyon Dışişleri Bakanlığı bünyesinde dünya üzerindeki
in the Foreign Affairs Ministry in the Confederation, in fact, the states in the 6 continents and also globally powerful countries, and the operations in those countries will be checked. For the states in Asia, Africa, Europe, North and South America, and Australia, there will be multiple political, economic, and sociocultural affairs director generals, and in other countries there will be bilateral relations DGs.
Şöyle bir teşkilat.
That is the organogram of the Foreign Affairs Ministry, which shows the subunits. The Foreign Affairs Ministry of the Model Confederation will be also on top of the foreign representative offices. There will be the principle of reciprocity. And there will be embassies, the chief consulates, permanent representative offices, and cultural centers representing the Confederation in different countries. There will also be the domestic representative offices of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Model Confederation. Communication and coordination will be ensured together with the representatives to be assigned in the national states and the regional federations. In the centers of the national states, some ministry representatives will be available. Diplomatic missions of foreign states will also be taken into consideration when the representative units are being created.
Model ASRICA Konfederasyon Dışişleri Bakanlığı bünyesinde İslam anlayışının
anlatılması. Confederation will be under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There will be the ASRICA Scientific Studies Assembly, and that should be composed of the representatives, which will be in the even numbers.
Temel hak ve özgürlüklerle ilgili esas ve prensipler.
Regarding the fundamental rights and freedoms, the principles will be as follows. No matter which geography the people are born in the in the level of Allah, that they will be equal, and these rights should be assured under the Constitution, and that will be taken as the principle, guiding principle in the modern ASRICA Confederation geography, and there will be the global states and the world states through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and modern ASRICA international relations coordination and presidency should be established. And of course, making use of the seas and benefit from seas will be under the responsibility of the Foreign Affairs Ministry. And regarding the sea lands, sea areas, and for the straits and the canals, these the rights will be interests will be taken under the auspices of the modern ASRICA maritime law agreement. And in terms of the oceans, if there are oceans, there will be the areas, the inland waters, and these will be taken as the exemplary rights, and the rights and interests will be taken out through the Modern ASRICA Council and based on the Modern ASRICA Maritime Law Agreement. And in regards to air land of Modern ASRICA Confederation, and regarding the FRR line, there will be the Modern ASRICA Air and Space Law Agreement will be prepared by the Council. So, as a result, now we are holding today's Congress. The Islamic countries, it's about the definition of principles of the public order and safety for the Islamic Union. And this is the 6th Congress of ASSAM. There's participation of 20 countries.
ülkeden katılacak.
There will be 40 academicians from 20 countries. There will be 38 presentations that will be taken under the following titles. These are the main titles, as I have pointed out. In the Congress, there will be Ottoman Empire, the Ayyubi states, and the Middle Age Islamic states. There will be the public order and internal safety administrative structures will be taken into account for United USA, EU, China, South Africa Republic, and for the sub-Saharan countries, the public order, the safety, internal safety, and the administrative structure and the principles will be taken into account, and the public order concept and the principles, internal security, and the joint international Islam public order and internal security principles and procedures, and also for the Islamic Union, joint security and public order principles will be the main titles, and the Modern ASRICA Confederation, the public order and internal security organization will be taken into account. And of course, there will be the provisions regarding additional provisions in terms of Islamic countries, confederation, constitution, security, and public order assurance. And of course, the authorities and the responsibilities of the ASRICA Confederation countries, and there will be an ideal model will be taken out as a result of this Congress. The Congress will be held online with video conference method. There will be simultaneous interpretation in Turkish, English, and Arabic languages, and there will be a simultaneous interpretation, and the presentations will be placed in ASSAM website, and in ASSAM International Journal, the presentations will be published, and the Congress consequence reports will be submitted to all the participants, and it will be published in ASSAM website.
6. Uluslararası ASSAM İslam
ASSAM Islam Union Congress, and next year there will be joint justice system will be the subject of the next year's Congress, and as a result of 2023, we are targeting to have a model which will gather the Islamic countries under one will. Of course, I would like to thank all the participants. I'd like to thank the universities which are contributing, society organizations. I'd like to extend my thanks to each and every one of you. I hope that this Congress will be auspicious and fruitful, and I would like to pay my respects once again. We would like to thank our president for his presentation. I hope that he will have a long life with health and prosperity.
Toplu vurdukça yürekler top sindiremez.
Of course.
Bu bölümde
in this session, we will talk about the General Secretariat of International Islamic Professors. He's going to have a presentation. I'd like to invite him to the floor. The floor is yours.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات وبرحمته تتنزل الخيرات والبركات وبرحمته تتحقق المقاصد والغايات